Boom, 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 boom. That is the sound of a heart. Welcome back to the Content Swap Podcast. You are joined by Parker and...
Aaliyah.
And...
George.
George is back.
And Michelle Obama.
Yeah, Michelle Obama's here.
We have a full house.
Michelle Obama is on a mug for all you audio listeners. And George is a small stuffed
dinosaur.
Stegosaurus. Yeah, we got a very positive fan reaction to George last episode, so he is back by popular demand.
Did we really?
No.
I was like, wow, someone acknowledged George.
No, I made all of that up.
George brings me comfort.
Yes, that's why he's here. Anything you'd like to say for the people, George?
I'm back.
He's back, everybody. Oh my gosh.
I love that I put him up to the microphone as if he's actually saying it.
Oh gosh.
That's so funny.
All right, what a whole experience we're providing today. So welcome back to the Content Swap Podcast, the podcast where we share content with each other every single week and then discuss it at the end of the week. Mm-hmm. This week we did something a little bit different. Do you want to explain a little about what we did?
We chose Valentine's Day picks because Valentine's Day comes up in a few days. 3 days? 3 days?
3 days.
In 3 days. So, yeah, we chose our own Valentine's Day themed movies. Mine was extremely Valentine's Day, and yours was like a hint of romance.
There was romance in my movie.
There was romance, but it was not a romantic movie.
It's a movie about a husband and a wife.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing this week.
Yeah.
And I guess with that being said, we should just take it away. So I believe you are first to explain the movie I assigned you. So go ahead.
All right. Last episode, I was assigned True Lies, which came out in 1994. It stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as Harry and Jamie Lee Curtis as Helen.
His wife.
Right. And their husband and wife. And so the overall plot of this movie, Arnold is a spy who's basically doing this operation to take down a terrorist organization. I hate to say that word. I don't know. That word is just feels so extreme.
I could say
this is pre 9/11.
This is pre 9/11.
So it just feels weird. But
the movie was directed by James Cameron, and there was like a sequel planned at one point, but around like 2002, and when they scrapped it, he was like, yeah, terrorism just isn't like funny like that anymore.
Yeah.
So I understand exactly.
Yeah. I'm gonna say criminal organization.
Yes, criminal organization.
Yeah.
With some big and scary plans.
Yes. So he's a spy, and he's basically on this operation to take down a criminal organization. Because he is a spy doing a bunch of spy things, he is not home very often. He's coming home late. Helen's really sad because it's his birthday. She had these big plans for him, baked a cake with their daughter, and he just like comes home. It's kind of like, whatever. Like, it's late, and he didn't even get to celebrate his own birthday with them. And so she's just like not having fun in her marriage, you know? He's not around. And so he basically shows up to her work one day to take her out to lunch. And while she's at work, she gets a phone call from a mysterious man named Simon. And her coworker is like, oh my gosh, is that the man? Like, talk to him, like all this stuff. So they're trying to give us a hint that like maybe she's having an affair with this Simon guy. And that's what Arnold sees and hears based on this conversation. And she doesn't realize that he's at her office.
Yeah.
She never sees him. And so he's now like, what the heck? My wife's having an affair. I need to figure this out. And since he's a spy, he can do just that. So he basically tracks down who the Simon character is, the Simon guy is, and pretends to like buy a car from him because he finds out that Simon's a car salesman. And the whole time when Jamie interacts with Simon, Simon's telling Jamie that he's a spy and that he needs Jamie's help with like the things that he's doing. He's fully just lying to her to basically like sleep with her. And that's just what he does. He just like cons women.
I don't know if we said that. I don't know if you said that. So like Arnold is a spy and he's not home all the time, but Jamie Lee Curtis thinks that he's like a computer salesman.
Oh, yes. She doesn't know he's a spy.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like him and Simon are like opposites of each other in that Simon is a salesman, is pretending to be a spy, and Arnold is a spy pretending to be a salesman.
Yeah. So long story short, Jamie shows up to meet with Simon one evening, and Arnold and basically the other spies that he works with like bust in on them, and they take Simon and they take Jamie. They basically just kind of like threaten Simon, and Arnold like shows his face and is like don't basically like mess with my woman or whatever. And that's kind of like the end of that interaction.
Yeah. Simon kind of is just like gone after that.
Yeah. Are you trying to say something?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, Arnold throws a lot of government resources towards figuring out
his own personal problems.
Yeah, exactly. He throws, like, I don't even know where to begin. Like, they have a police helicopter, like a SWAT team, like tailing his wife and all this stuff. And his partner the whole time is like, hey, don't do that.
Yeah, because they're doing like illegal things. Yeah. Like they like tap her like phone, and his friend is like, "This is literally illegal." He's like, "I don't care. It's my wife."
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun.
So they basically just threaten Simon, and Simon's like no longer an important part of the movie. However, with Jamie, what they do is they hold her captive in this like interrogation room. So she's just in this empty room. There's a double-sided mirror, so they can see her. She cannot see them. And they have like a voice distortion, like audio thing, so that when they talk, their voice is distorted. She doesn't recognize who it is. And so they're asking her questions about like, did she sleep with this man? Like, what's their relationship? Things like that. Why did you go with him? She explains how she almost left to go to Paris with him because she just wanted some excitement in her life. Like, she's super bored and like her husband's not around and all these things. And so Arnold questions her and is like, do you love your husband? Like, yeah. And she's like, yes, I love my husband. And just like sad in this marriage. Like, it sucks. And so he decides he's going to give her an adventure. And so he is like, well, if you work for us, we won't press any charges against you. And so, yeah. And his friend's like, what are you doing? And Arnold is like, she wants excitement. She wants adventure. Let's give it to her. And so they set up this whole plan for
very
her.
Healthy dynamic.
Yeah. So basically they're like, all right, we're gonna send you back home. We'll call you with further instructions. So she's like, okay. And she's fully buying this. Like, she fully thinks that she has to do this so that she avoids charges and things like that. They're at dinner later on. And she gets a phone call. And Arnold's at dinner too. Like, Arnold's home and he's pretending like he knows nothing, even though he's the one behind all of this. And the house gets a phone call, and they call, and Jamie picks up, and they're like, all right, you ready for your mission? And she's like, yes. So they're like, show up at this hotel at this time, and you're going to meet a man, and he thinks you're a sex worker. And so you're going to go and say these things and plant this like little device in his room.
And he's supposed to be like an arms dealer.
Yeah. So she's like, okay. So,
I mean, she's like, do I have to? Like, what? Is this safe? But she's like, okay, I'll do it. Yeah.
So she says, okay. And so she shows up. Of course, this was all Arnold's plan. So he's this arms dealer. She doesn't know that because when she goes into the room, he's like sitting in the shadows, and he has like
he's like silhouetted.
Yeah, he has like a audio recording so that it sounds like it's a script that one of his friends who works with him read. And
who has like a French accent.
Yeah. And so he's like playing these words that aren't his words. And basically he like gets her to like do like a strip tease dance.
Yeah.
Which like she crushed it. She did so good, and her body, I was like, dang, her body's banging. She looks fantastic and had great moves. And so yeah, so he's obviously enjoying this. This is his wife doing like something super sexy. And he like tells her to like get on the bed and close her eyes, and he like goes to her to like kiss her because that's his wife, and this is like his moment of like, I'm gonna show her it's me. But for like, clearly she's scared because like there's this random dude, and she was told that she would be safe in this situation, so she like knocks him out before she really sees that it is her husband. And as she's getting up to like run out of the room, he calls her name, and she turns and she's like, oh my gosh, Harry, like, it's like you, like, what are you doing here? And at that very moment, the criminal organization busts into the room.
The criminal organization that he's been like trying to bust for the whole movie.
Yeah. They bust into the room, and it's like, oh no, this just got real. And Jamie's character is completely confused. Like, she doesn't know what's going on. She's like, don't take him. It's me you want. Like, I'll get us out of this. And he's just like, stop talking. Because she still does not realize that he's a spy. And so they get taken. And basically everyone else knows that Arnold is the spy. And so they're talking to him as if he's a spy and as if he's been trying to take them down. And so she's starting to put two and two together of like, who the heck are you? Like, how come they know you? All these people know you? Like, why are they talking to you like that? Why do you know these things? And so she ends up finding out he's a spy, is obviously very upset, and is like, what the heck? You've been keeping this secret from me for like 17 years? Like, that's crazy. And so the rest of the movie is pretty much now, because they're in this situation together, are like kind of teaming up to defeat this criminal organization. And the criminal organization, their motives basically is they found this nuclear weapon inside these artifacts, and are basically like threatening the like American government to stop, like pull their soldiers, I guess, out of their like home countries. Or else,
that sounds right.
Yeah, or else they'll start basically attacking different parts of the U.S.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't just find a nuclear weapon inside of an artifact. You know, it doesn't really work like that.
Yeah, but they acquired.
They like used an artifact digging business, I guess, as a front to smuggle a warhead into the United States with.
There we go.
Yeah, so they put it inside the artifact.
Yeah.
And then got the artifact into the States, and then they opened it up. I mean, it's not really clear how they just got a nuke, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the whole plot of the movie pretty much. Obviously, Arnold and Jamie are successful. They're able to take down this organization. At some point, their daughter gets like held captive by like the leader of this organization, but she ends up being safe, and all is well. And now, at the end of the movie, Jamie and Arnold are a spy team. And so their marriage is like reinvigorated because now they're doing these fun, adventurous things together. And that's the movie.
Yep. I mean, that is basically the movie. There's a lot of action scenes that probably didn't get conveyed from that description. But
no. Well, I wanted to do just like, you know, I like to do a short, broad overview.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then we can talk
totally.
about specifics as we talk.
All right.
But yeah, overall, so I'm trying to look at my notes. I have like no notes on my thoughts, but overall, I thought it was really fun and really funny, and just like, it's an adventure. It's a fun watch. It's nothing you take seriously. The visuals at times are really funny. There's this scene where Jamie Lee Curtis picks up this gun because there's like a big shootout happening. Yeah. There's a huge shootout happening. So she picks up this gun, but then drops it. But for like a solid like 3 minutes, they just have footage of the gun rolling down the stairs, but like firing off as it tumbles down the stairs. And somehow she magically managed to kill like everybody.
Yeah, everybody
on
but
accident.
her and Arnold.
Yeah, and it's just like there's no way. Like, how is the gun firing off
Yeah.
as it tumbles down the stairs? Like, and how did she not get hit? Because it's like bullets are flying back towards her. Like,
Oh, yeah.
It's wild.
None of the main characters get shot.
They're not even injured. Like,
Yeah.
they're just fine.
Yeah. Everybody else gets taken out.
Yeah. So there's just some like wild scenes like that. That's just like so ridiculous. But I don't know. It's a good time.
Yeah. It's got the romance. It's got the comedy. It's got the action. It's got the Arnold. You know, the whole package. Mm-hmm. It's got it all. Mm-hmm. And it's directed by James Cameron. So, you want me to like list out some facts?
Yeah.
So this movie when it was released in 1994 had the record for the most expensive movie ever made.
Wow.
Yeah, it was about $100 million to make. The previous record holder was Terminator 2 Judgment Day, which was also James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Like how I would love to know how James Cameron like got to the point where people trusted him enough to throw so much money at him to create these giant spectacles. Like, what was his very first, do you know, his very first movie?
His first, like, movie was The Terminator.
And how, was that budget pretty large?
The first Terminator budget was, like, I didn't write that one down, but I did look it up just now. It was, like, 6.8 million. Like, very small. It's very, very, very small budget for the first Terminator. Gotcha. But then I think he did Aliens after that. Yeah. And that was a little bit more expensive, but still not as expensive as you would think, given the visuals of that movie. Mm-hmm. So I think, but if you see Aliens, which I will sign you at some point, it watches like a crazy big budget movie, but the budget, I think the budget for that movie was like in between 30 or 40 million or something. Maybe it was 60 million, but even so, like for them to have in the 80s gotten the quality of Aliens with that small budget, I think that was kind of like the beginning of like, hey, we can really trust this guy with our money, because he made the Terminator with like less than 7 million. And that came out great, and then Aliens came out great, and then I know he did like The Abyss. I didn't write down the figures for that, but then he got to make Terminator 2, which is his own movie, 100 mil. That was also about 100 mil, but then True Lies was about 100 mil, and I guess was a little bit higher. But then the next year, well, I guess to kind of keep on the thread that you're bringing up, like, yeah, each of his movies became more and more expensive after that. Like Titanic was 200 million.
That makes sense.
The first Avatar was 237 million, and supposedly Avatar 2 is 250 million.
I'm like, I would love to watch a documentary about him, because like I feel like all of his movies are just like very novel in terms of like filmmaking. And so it's like, how does he just come up, like how does he come up with these things? How does he know, like, I need it to look like this is exactly what the effects should look like, and like I need you to carry out in a specific way? So
I don't know. I mean, supposedly this movie was the only one of his movies to get nominated for Best Visual Effects and not win Best Visual Effects.
Wow. As
of 2022. Avatar 2 is up for Best Visual Effects. I mean, that's like at the Oscars this year. I mean, it's gotta win, right?
Yeah, it's like a given. There's literally nothing that can top that. It's got to have that category on lock. But yeah, I don't. He's just got a vision. I've heard he's really hard to work with, though. He's very specific. He's very like, he demands a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. But like, here's the tricky thing, because it's like, you don't want to work with someone who's very difficult to work with, but when you know like the
you're gonna make the best stuff.
Like the methods behind their the madness behind their methods is like gonna work, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, do you just like suck it up? Because like, you know, it all has intention, and you know there's like there's a reason why he's so specific.
Right. I was
don't
reading in
know.
the trivia for this movie that he said, like, if any shot sequence was supposed to be easy, I somehow found a way to make it difficult.
At least he's self-aware. I mean, and I want to clarify, like, I don't know if you consider him like abusive. I don't know I don't know the stories behind them set. But
we're still watching Avatar, so
Yeah.
Professionally speaking, he's in the green. you know?
Okay. I'm like, I don't know the stories of like what makes him very difficult. So I'm not condoning like abusiveness.
Right.
But
I don't think nobody's outright said he's abusive,
Okay.
but they have straight up said, like, yeah, I mean, work on a James Cameron movie.
Okay.
There's gonna be a lot asked of you.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to put in your best work because that's what he's doing.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And he's probably gonna, on a whim come up with something, different. And like, I didn't write this down, but I did read that, like, there's a bathroom fight scene in this movie, which in the screenplay was only like half a page long. And then like 5 days before the shoot, he basically, or maybe it was like 2 or 3 days before the shoot, he basically looked at the set that the art department built and was like, oh, we're going to need it to be a lot bigger. Because they built it based off of like half a page of the script.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in and was like, oh, we need it to be like bigger. We need to be this, and said all these things that he had in mind. So they had like 2 or 3 days to just completely overhaul that bathroom what he wanted.
I would be in tears like every evening.
I'd
like, be crying in the bathroom at like 4 a.m.
Yeah, the bathroom that you just built.
I'm like, how am I gonna do this? But it would get done, I guess. You have no choice.
Yeah. Well, on the budget thing, it was the world record holder of $100 million at the time, but literally like a year later, it was beaten by Waterworld, which was $175 million budget. Exactly. I looked it up. It was cost $175 million to make Waterworld. Waterworld is like a Kevin Costner movie that takes place in a world where the ice caps have completely melted, and so everything just takes place on the water. And it's got these huge sets of like, kind of like makeshift cities on like ships and stuff, all on the water, which is why it was so expensive. But apparently it was like really long, not even that good.
Sounds like the name of a theme park. Like, I'm gonna go to Waterworld.
Apparently the Waterworld stunt show at Universal Studios Hollywood is like the best attraction.
I didn't know that existed.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but
yeah,
I've heard it's a really good stunt show. So yeah, I mean, Waterworld beat it in 1995, like right after that. But then, James Cameron's not going to be outdone by Waterworld, and then they made Titanic, $200 million.
I love that movie. It's been a while. I should watch that.
Titanic.
Yeah, maybe I'll watch it tomorrow.
All right. Well, other things that I've got on here are that Arnold said this was the role that he was meant for. I don't know. I believe that.
I mean, yeah, he fit the role perfectly.
He did.
Yeah. It's not very different from any of his other roles.
But it feels like the like, if he up until that point been figuring out like his place, it's like they perfectly chiseled in exactly like this is what he would be perfect for, and then he made that movie, and this was that.
I love that there's a scene where they're like him and his coworker are showing up to work, and they go through this like X-ray scanner thing, and I was like, oh, this is that scene that was on Corner Crew. You're like, that's the other Arnold movie.
Yeah.
I was like, it happens in both movies.
That was Total Recall.
I was like, is he just repeating things in every movie?
Oh yeah, so I was gonna give you Total Recall like 2 weeks ago, and if you go back and listen, I was like, oh, I was gonna give you this movie, but the main guy is in the Valentine's Day movie we want to give you, and we can't have too much of him all at once. So
there's no such thing as too much Arnold.
Right.
He's entertaining.
So, I mean, I'll probably give you Total Recall at some point this year, because it's a good movie. It's also like the weirdest movie. put in like a lot of really fun ways. Anyway, what else do I have on here? Arnold was very nervous about dancing the tango. He practiced 6 months to get that tango dance just right.
I'm not gonna lie, when I was watching them dancing, I was like, he's doing nothing. Jamie is carrying all the weight.
I mean, yeah, I like to dance the tango every once in a while. Okay. That's a lie.
I was like, I've never seen you do the tango.
All right, but I took a ballroom dance class about 10 years ago. And the tango was by far my favorite dance.
Yeah.
Also, I would say the tango is very demanding on the female in the pair. Because there's a lot of like, dipping and stuff like that. But that's like part of what, for me, makes it like fun. Anyway. All right. There's like a whole horse chase sequence in this movie.
Yeah, that was wild.
So a couple notes on that. Arnold almost fell 30 feet from sliding off his horse when his horse got startled. But his stuntman noticed it and grabbed him before he fell.
Yeah.
So
I was wondering, how much of that was actually Arnold? Because like in the chase, like especially like through the hotel, that they like end up going through a hotel.
Oh yeah.
It's so blurred. Like it's not him.
Yeah, there are some parts where it's definitely Arnold because you can see like that's Arnold on a horse, and then there's totally parts where it's not him at all.
Yeah.
But apparently the horse was played by 4 different horses because each of those 4 horses had a different set of skills. And the horse in this movie is doing a lot. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
It stressed me out so much. During this horse scene, he gets in the elevator on the horse and there's a couple that's in the elevator, and it is such a small space. And like I was holding my breath because like you do not want to be in a small space right by a horse's rear end.
Yeah.
And like if the smallest thing spooks that horse, you're gonna get kicked, and like that is potentially fatal.
Shatter you into pieces.
Yeah. Like it is not fun to get kicked by a horse. I've been kicked by a horse.
Yeah.
Like it is like the scariest thing.
Yeah, it hurts. Well, I wouldn't know, but you would.
It hurts.
And I've seen the aftermath. It's not great.
I still have that bruise. It will not go away. Luckily, I got lucky in that like it was just on my leg.
Yeah.
And like it didn't break anything. I don't think. I don't know. I never went to the doctor, but like
you've been
I
running,
wouldn't
so
have been walking.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, oh my God, that was so stressful. I was like,
Yeah.
like I need this scene to be over.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like really crazy stunts in this movie. Like there's I kept saying this while we were watching the movie, but because, you were like ridiculing how like there's a part where at the beginning of the movie where there's like some skiers who are like skiing down a mountain and like shooting their guns.
Because it was so dumb. And
I thought it was like the coolest thing.
I mean, it was like the most interesting thing I've ever seen. I've never seen that before.
But I'm just like the way that this is shot and edited, I just don't feel like movies really quite had like that kind of action choreography and budget, and like the way that it's just filmed, like the lighting, it's all just very, very, very well done in this movie. And I feel like its contemporaries were not quite at that level. I mean, most expensive movie at the time, so that makes sense. But I don't know, that's just like something I really appreciate about this movie.
Yeah, I mean, it is a breath of fresh air, and I feel like in modern day movies now, like everything has to be feasible. Like everything has to be realistic for us to feel like it makes like sense, like for us to feel connected to it. And so ridiculous kinds of things like that, where it's like dudes on skis with guns, like it's like so outrageous.
I think that in the real world there are dudes on skis
with guns.
Yeah, the Finnish army in World War II, with their guerrilla warfare tactics, fighting against Russia.
My gosh.
Was that Russia? No, wait. I think I might be getting mixed up with World War One. But I remember learning. Like the Finnish army, they were on skis doing crazy things.
Okay, well, I feel like nowadays that probably is not happening.
Maybe
you could just be on like a snow. What's the snow motorcycle thing?
It's a snowmobile.
Yeah, you just be on one of those, like
all
James
right.
Bond.
My dad skis a lot. I know he's shot guns before, so we'll ask him. How feasible would it be?
I mean, I'm sure you could do it, but like no one would do it.
There's a Winter Olympics event where people ski with a gun on their back, but they don't shoot the gun while they're moving. They like go to stations and then they like shoot a target and then they put the gun back on their back and then they ski to get to the next target. That's like a real thing.
What is that called?
The ski shooting? I don't know.
That's ridiculous. What do the skis add to the shooting element? Like, is it like, oh, they're going so fast? But like,
it's a speed thing and an accuracy thing. You know, they're graded on their accuracy when they're shooting, and then they're graded on their speed to just get between.
So you want to have the fastest time
with the most accurate. Yeah. It's graded in a specific way to make sure that it's balanced.
Okay, well, that's weird. No offense to those who do that as a sport.
Well, anyway, point being, I really liked how the action was filmed in this movie. Like, yeah. I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, whoa, this was made in 1994. James Cameron, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, I guess I know, like, as a viewer, my eyeballs are going to be taken care of, you know?
Yeah.
All right, some other fun facts. They used these Marine Harriers, these jet planes, that apparently cost them $2,400 an hour for a total of about $100,000 of the budget just to use those jets and the pilots that the military, supplied the production. But I kind of thought that was a relatively like low cost. I don't know. I know that like when in the new Top Gun Maverick, I think it costs them like $40,000 per hour or something to do all those jet sequences.
Well, does that consider like inflation and things?
Well, I mean definitely, but like I don't know, 2,400 versus like 40,000.
I mean, maybe.
I mean, the planes are certainly like I think the Top Gun planes are like way more advanced, way more expensive.
Yeah.
But
maybe they consider like what they'll be doing with the planes, like if it's like the potential for damage is higher.
Yeah.
And they like upcharge more or something.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't know.
Well, there's a really cool shot sequence where Arnold just like takes off like vertically because this jet can do that, and then like switches to go straight mode and it just like takes off. It's like a starship. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, yeah, we have that technology in 1994. Although I looked up that specific jet, it was like first created in 1967. Yeah. Anyway, military technology, goodness,
scary.
Yeah, we spent a lot. All right, so in the scene at the end of the movie where they're like on a bridge and there's the jets and the set pieces and all that big fun stuff, when they filmed on that bridge, I guess it's known as like the 7 Mile Bridge in the Florida Keys, and when they filmed on that bridge...
I forgot all this happens in Florida.
Yeah, it all happens in Florida. Well, I mean, their family lives like near DC, but like when they get held captive and like the end of the movie is happening, that's all taking place in Florida. Yeah. So when they filmed on the 7 Mile Bridge, they would do it like minutes at a time, and they would cause a lot of traffic. And so when they were filming, they would send women with Pepsis to give to the people who were held up in traffic. And they would also give them bumper stickers that said, I was stopped on the 7 Mile Bridge by Omega Sector.
I'd literally be like, get that out of my face. I'm trying to get to where I'm trying to go.
Oh, women with Pepsi.
Oh my gosh.
Problem solved. Honey, I'm sorry I missed our anniversary, but a woman gave me a Pepsi, so it's all good.
I'd be livid. Like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Give me money.
All right. Other fun fact. Jamie Lee Curtis said that this was the greatest experience of her professional life up until that point.
Wow.
And she practiced that striptease sequence extensively to get it just right.
Well, she did phenomenal. That was my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah, and she seemed to feel very empowered by doing that scene, and she did end up winning a Golden Globe for this role.
Wow. I love that. I love her so much. She's just great.
Oh, she's the best.
And I feel like, I don't know. I feel like she's just probably the best person to work with. Like, she seems like such a great friend.
Yeah.
I don't know. She's just amazing.
Somebody asked her, like, oh, if you could play any, like, animated character.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and she's like, I want to play Nico Robin from One Piece. Because, like, my daughter watches One Piece, and I think that character is really cool. And it's like, all the nerds just went, whoa!
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's cool.
All right. I've got one more fun fact, and then I have a very not at all fun fact. Not at all. So the remaining fun fact is that the guy that Arnold reports to at the agency that he works for, his character was largely based off of Nick Fury. When, like, Nick Fury in the comic books was originally white, and then eventually his character became black. But at the time, Nick Fury was this, like, white guy with an eye patch. And so this guy in the movies, like, an old dude with an eye patch. And when I read that fact, and then I, like, reflected on that character, I'm like, yeah, that's actually exactly what Nick Fury is supposed to look like. I just thought that was an interesting fact.
The way you said he, like, became black, as if he, like, woke up. I was like, I'm black.
No, they just, like, rewrote him.
It's just funny the way it sounded.
My bad.
It's just the way I thought about it in my head. I was like, that's funny.
I mean, if you look at the guy in this movie, he's like wearing that eye patch. Like, it looks like the eye patch is his face.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember eye patch dude.
All right, we'll look at him later, and you'll be like, yeah, that he is wearing that eye patch. All right, so the very not fun fact at all is that the huge trigger warning, hopefully the only trigger warning in this episode. So if you don't want to hear this, skip forward like 3 to 5 minutes. So Eliza Dushku is in this movie, and she plays their daughter. So in January 2018, this is around, like, kind of after the Me Too movement had kind of gained a lot of momentum and a lot of women were speaking up. She spoke up, and she said that she was 12 years old when she was making this movie, and the movie's stunt coordinator groomed her during production and ultimately ended up sexually abusing her. And an adult friend of hers had confronted him on the set of the movie, and after that she got injured during a stunt and broke a few of her ribs, which she claims was, not at all a coincidence. And she talked about how this guy was rigging all these wires and these harnesses for her stunt work to make sure that she was safe. But in her experience, she ended up, rather than viewing him as her protector, viewing him as more of, like, her abuser, which is super, super, super disappointing. And James Cameron and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis and all of them, they all commended her bravery when she spoke up about that. Because that's really messed up. And I'm like, I don't know if that stunt coordinator worked on other things after that, but I guess just having read that and being like, okay, I wasn't sure if I wanted to bring that up or not. But, it's there. It's part of the history of this movie. And I don't know. I think it felt important to talk about as a means of, I guess, getting this message out there that, that behavior is not okay, and, like, it needs to be called out. And we don't support any of that type of behavior. So props to you, Eliza Dushku.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, totally. Well, I guess the good news is that she, like, her most popular roles were after this movie, so she still, like, I guess, like, she herself was able to still, like, have a successful career after that. Terrible experience at a young age.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is all I have left on this movie.
Got you.
Yeah.
Well.
All right. How can we shift gears a little bit?
That's a tough thing to
follow.
I
know. That's like a tough thing to like end on.
I know.
For this movie. This movie's great. Go watch it. I mean, it is a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a fun watch.
Highly recommend it. Oh, also, I not sponsored, but I got an ExpressVPN membership just so I could watch this movie because it was on Disney Plus in basically countries that are not the US. So that was my first time like using that, because when they advertise ExpressVPN, they're always like, oh, you can watch movies on Netflix in other countries. And so shouts out to the ExpressVPN marketing for making that so clear so that I knew that I could do that.
Oh my gosh. Because
you can't even rent this movie.
You think it's because of the situation?
No.
I feel like they only pull things and you can't find them when there's some thing tied to it.
I mean, True Lies was... I've watched this movie on a streaming service like in 2018, and she did that in January of 2018. I watched it like just on like I'd probably rented it or something. So it's just not available anywhere right now, but like it's available in the UK. So based on your claims, like what does that say about the UK Disney Plus people? All right. Anyway,
it's just a theory.
It's a fair theory.
Yeah.
Fair theory. Yeah. So not at all sponsored by ExpressVPN, but might use that feature a little bit more.
Yeah. For sure.
All right. So should we move along?
Yes.
All right. So for our Valentine's Day episode, I was assigned a movie called Valentine's Day.
Wow. What a shock.
OMG.
Wonder what that one's about.
Valentine's Day came out in 2010.
Directed by Gary Marshall.
Thank you. What other works has Gary Marshall worked on?
These are actually my facts. So he also directed Pretty Woman. He directed the Princess Diaries movies, which explains so much. Yeah, but I'll dive deeper into that later.
All right. So I spent probably an hour rearranging all of my notes. There's a lot of different plot threads in this movie. There's a lot of different people and their relationships. And some of them connect in small ways, and some of them are not connected at all. And you are just following each one separately. So the movie just kind of jumps between them, and they all kind of tie the bow at the end of the movie, independent of each other for the most part.
It's like Love, Actually.
Yes. So I spent like an hour. I took notes like in order of the events of the movie, and then I put all of my notes in one column, and then I created a column next to that.
In a spreadsheet?
In a spreadsheet. And in a spreadsheet. And I wrote out like which person's like plot thread that note was related to. And then I put them all together, and then I like arranged them in order of like what would be the best order to like of people's stories to explain.
You're so dedicated to this.
Yeah. Because I knew this was going to be hard, and I don't want to spend 45 minutes going through this. So, and I'm just be like, and then Taylor Swift was doing this, and then Ashton Kutcher was doing this.
Taylor Swift's so irrelevant. Yeah. She can be cut out.
Yeah.
Don't come for me, Swifties.
All right. So, I'm going to go through the different story threads of different people in the order that I determined would be the easiest for me to explain. So, the movie opens with Valentine's Day card font. Like it's this fancy, cheesy font that would not hold up in the modern era. Anyway, All right, so literally everybody's in this movie. So we got Ashton Kutcher at the beginning of this movie. He is proposing to his girlfriend, Jessica Alba. She says yes. Woo!
Yay!
All right, now, it's Valentine's Day. Ashton Kutcher works at a flower shop, and he works with George Lopez, which isn't going to be too relevant in this movie, but he's there. And he's also friends with Jennifer Garner. And Jennifer Garner is an item with Patrick Dempsey, also known as McDreamy from
Grey's Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy. And they are an item, and he tells her, he's a doctor, and he tells her, like, I need to go to San Francisco tonight, so I can't see you on Valentine's Day. And she's like, oh, for the same reason, or sorry, my bad. For some reason, back on Ashton's side of things, Ashton, everybody in his life was doubtful that Jessica Alba was going to say yes to his proposal, but she said yes. Meanwhile, we find out that Patrick Dempsey, who is supposed to be in San Francisco, has a wife and daughter, and that's why he is not spending time with Jennifer Garner on Valentine's Day. But Ashton Kutcher is like, you should go surprise him in San Francisco. So she's like, all right, yeah, I'll do that. Meanwhile, Jessica Alba is talking to Ashton Kutcher later in the day, and she's like, I want to keep the engagement a secret. I just don't want people to, like, be bombarding me with engagement questions. And he's like, well, I kind of already told everyone. Meanwhile, Jennifer Garner, she's also a teacher, and she's teaching a bunch of these kids about Valentine's Day. And cut back to Ashton Kutcher. I know it's a little all over the place within this specific thread because there's a few more people in this thread, but bear with me here. Patrick Dempsey goes to Ashton Kutcher's flower shop, not even knowing Ashton Kutcher's character. He doesn't know that Jennifer Garner and Ashton Kutcher are friends. So Patrick Dempsey says to Ashton Kutcher, I need 2 flower arrangements, one for my wife, one for my girlfriend. And he gives him the names of both. And so Ashton Kutcher's like, ooh, Jennifer Garner is your girlfriend. And he's like, yep. Don't we have an understanding? And he's like,
use your discretion.
Use your discretion, yeah. So Ashton's like, ooh, dang. Meanwhile, McSteamy from Grey's Anatomy, not McDreamy. I do not know the name of this actor, but he plays a doctor in Grey's Anatomy that everybody calls McSteamy. So this is not Patrick Dempsey I'm referring to, but I don't know this guy's name. In the movie, his character's name is Sean Jackson, but irrelevant. He's McSteamy right now. So McSteamy is in this movie. He plays a football player. We'll come back to him. But at one point, he bumps into George Lopez. He accidentally crashes into George Lopez's car, like a little fender bender. And George Lopez is like, it's cool. You're a football player. I know who you are. But then all the flowers fall out of George Lopez's van because he's supposed to be doing deliveries for Valentine's Day. Big problems. So, I mean, really, all of that resulted in was now Ashton Kutcher and George Lopez have an opportunity to talk to each other in the middle of the day and talk about Ashton's relationships, which is ultimately just, I don't even know what that conversation was about. Meanwhile,
well, that's when George Lopez is like, you need to tell your friend that her boyfriend has a wife.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So meanwhile, Jessica Alba is calling off the engagement in the middle of the day. Ashton Kutcher is like a time traveler or a teleporter or something. This all takes place in LA on Valentine's Day. He is just jumping around the whole city.
Location to location.
Yeah.
In LA traffic, impossible.
Yeah. He's at home, and then he's at the flower shop, then he's talking to George Lopez, then he's back at home again talking to Jessica Alba, and she's calling off the engagement. So this man goes from proposing in the morning to break up in the afternoon because she's not ready for commitment and she sucks. But they break up like on good terms? ? He should have been a lot more distraught, honestly. He takes it, you know. But I would have been a bit of a mess, but you know. I guess he's got a...
I would have been like, Valentine's Day's canceled.
Yeah.
I'm staying at home.
People are counting on him. He is the love.
He's Cupid.
Yeah, he's Cupid. He's getting everybody their flowers. If he doesn't get people their flowers, there's going to be problems. Anyway, so he realizes he needs to help out his friend Jennifer Garner because she's going to the airport to surprise this guy, but he knows that this guy is married. So, like, ugh. So he makes it to the airport and tells, after running through security, so yes, now he's at the airport. Who knows how he made it to LAX on time. Yeah, he makes it to the airport and tells her that, like, hey, he's married, but she doesn't believe it. She doesn't want to hear it. She gets on her plane anyway. And then, I don't know, some stuff happens. It's not really clear. Regardless, she finds out that Dempsey is married from some of his coworkers. And then she ends up showing up to Patrick Dempsey's dinner with his wife, and she subtly reveals stuff and then takes lobster and cheesecake to go to her friend's anti-Valentine's Day party instead. More on that later. Meanwhile, Ashton is just, teleporting places. And then, he's talking to George Lopez, yada, yada, yada. Then later she goes to this anti-Valentine's Day party and she has a conversation with one of her students who is also at that party. More on that later. And she realizes that she kind of cares for Ashton. And then her and Ashton realize, like, hey, we're best friends. We should fall in love. So they both just got out of super serious relationships today. Yeah. But they're like, but it's also not a bad day to fall in love with my best friend, too. So
I know, they got together so fast.
Yeah.
I was like, you were just literally about to marry someone else this morning.
Yeah. So they share a kiss, and they're like, they didn't really like it, but then they decide, hey, we just need to practice. And they do some more kissing. And that's the end of their plot thread.
That's so funny.
All right. Meanwhile, on a separate part of the city, we have Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx works for the news. He covers sports, and he works with Kathy Bates. She's his boss. But she has him interviewing people about Valentine's Day on Valentine's Day, and he doesn't want to do that because
he covers sports.
He covers sports. Meanwhile, Jessica Biel is McSteamy, the football player's publicist, and she hates Valentine's Day, and she's going to be having an anti-Valentine's Day party later. Ooh,
Who was at that party that we just talked about?
Yep. Which means, yes, she is friends with Jennifer Garner. So Jamie Foxx, he wants to interview McSteamy because people think that he's going to retire from football. So he goes to talk to Jessica Biel, the publicist, and she's all sad about Valentine's Day. And they talk, and somehow there's something kind of there between them that we pick up on. I don't even remember what they talk about. Meanwhile, McSteamy, instead of announcing his football retirement, announces that he's gay and he's going to play.
That line is just so silly. Like,
so everybody's like, whoa, okay. And then Jessica Biel has her anti-Valentine's Day party, and it's a big hit, and a bunch of characters show up, like Jamie Foxx, and they kiss. Mm-hmm. That's the end of that story. On to the next one. All right. Now, for this next one, we have Hector Elizondo, who plays Joe in Princess Diaries. And Shirley MacLaine plays his wife. So Hector Elizondo is helping his grandson who is feeling some heartache. And then I guess they kind of sort that out. More on that later. And then him and his wife Shirley have a talk about an affair that she once had, and now he's upset. So he goes to this movie in the park that he was going to go to with his wife, and he meets this young guy there, and he imparts some wisdom about relationships to this young guy. And then while he's watching the movie, his wife kind of finds him at the movie at the park, and she's like, I'm really sorry, I love you, and they're good.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Emma Roberts, she's also in this movie. She's in high school, and she's going to lose her virginity to her boyfriend during lunch.
During lunch.
And
I'm like, how long is your lunch? You're over here driving around
know.
LA during
Yeah.
your lunch.
so her boyfriend goes to her house before her, and he gets caught naked by her mom, and he runs out of the house naked. And then that just kind of results in them ultimately having a discussion saying, like, we don't really want to have sex yet. Yeah. She also babysits this kid. And then that kid sneaks out, and she follows him, and the kid's okay. More on him later. But it happens to be the kid sneaks out, and she finds him at this restaurant where her boyfriend happens to deliver food. It's an Indian restaurant, and her boyfriend delivers food there. And yeah, that's when they have this conversation. They're like, "We're not going to have sex today, but hey, we'll always love each other despite going to college in different places." And that's their story. Meanwhile, Hector Elizondo's grandson, who was feeling that heartache, remember him? Well,
The kid that Emma Roberts babysits.
I didn't reveal that yet.
You just kept saying the kid. It was confusing.
Well, I know.
Oh.
You ruined it.
Sorry. I was confused.
Yeah. Well, I'm just kind of mentioning for each of these people, like,
Yeah.
and then there's this kid. More on him
Got
later.
you.
Yeah. Oh, you spoiled it.
I'm sorry.
All right. So there's this kid, Edison, who is Hector Elizondo's grandson. Edison goes to buy some flowers from Ashton, for the cutest girl in school. And this kid is in love with some mystery woman, and he bugs Ashton about getting his flowers, like multiple times throughout the movie. And then he ends up sneaking out away from his babysitter, Emma Roberts. That was the big reveal moment for that.
I'm sorry.
And again, he approaches Ashton because he needs his flowers. And Ashton gives him the flowers that he was supposed to give to his ex-fiancée. And then Edison's Valentine, when he sneaks out, the whole time, it turns out it was his teacher, Jennifer Garner. And when Jennifer Garner was talking to one of her students and realizes that she loved Ashton, that was Edison that she was talking to. Oh my gosh. And she tells him, like, you might actually like Ronnie, this girl that's like in your class whose family owns wait, did I pronounce her name? Yeah, Ronnie. Rainey. Yes, Rainey. And her family like owns the Indian restaurant that they're at for this anti-Valentine's Day party that Jessica Biel put on. So yeah, he was the kid. And he's good, but more on him later. Meanwhile, Topher Grace and Anne Hathaway are in this movie. What? Bet you didn't see that coming. So, Topher Grace and Anne Hathaway are an item. They've been dating for about 2 weeks. Anne works for a phone sex hotline. And Topher doesn't know that it's Valentine's Day. So, when he realizes that it is, he offers to take Anne Hathaway to dinner. And Anne Hathaway is like the secretary for Queen Latifah's character, who I guess is involved with like the sports stuff. I don't really have a ton of specific.
Agent.
She's an agent.
She's
for
the football player's agent.
The football for McSteamy. And that's really all I have to say about Queen Latifah in this movie. It's just great to have her there. Yeah. So anyway, so Topher and Hathaway, they have a very hectic dinner, and she needs to say something to him, but then she has a phone call from one of her clients, and so she goes and talks to her client on the phone, and Topher like finds her, and he finds out that she is an adult phone entertainer or something like that, because she's $100,000 in debt from being a poetry major, which is her own fault, but that's why she's got to have like this side hustle. Mm-hmm. And he has like a very tough time accepting that, so he just kind of like leaves. And when he leaves, he goes to a movie in the park, and he bumps into Hector Elizondo. And Hector Elizondo imparts some wisdom about relationships.
How you have to accept the whole person, flaws and all, which like, duh.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he watches like Hector Elizondo and his wife like make up in the park. And so he's like, oh my gosh, I made a mistake. So then he goes and he talks to Anne Hathaway and he's like, I need to accept you for all that you are. So I accept you. And
would literally be like, get out of my face. But she literally takes him back, no problem.
Yep. They make up. They're good.
He's the worst.
Meanwhile, Taylor Swift is in this movie. What? I bet you saw her in the trailer in 2010. Taylor Swift gets a big bear from her boyfriend, and her boyfriend is Taylor Lautner, and they're in a relationship in real life, and they're in a relationship in this movie.
Well, they started their relationship after this movie.
Oh, I did not know that. Mm-hmm. And their biggest problem is that their characters are shoehorned into this movie. Because they're
so pointless.
They don't have actual problems. They get interviewed on TV, which is really good for the trailers and the commercials for this movie. And then they make out a little bit on the elevator, and that's it.
It's like, how do we get teens to come to this movie too? Throw them in there. They'll love it.
Like that is it. I just gave you all their scenes.
Yeah.
It's done. That's all of it.
They have like 2 scenes.
All right. Whew. We're almost there. Last one. Bradley Cooper and Julia Roberts are on a plane. But they don't know each other. And they fall asleep on each other. And it's like, ooh, maybe this is going to be a little meet cute on the plane. She's on active military duty. So she's like, she's been away for like 11 months. And she is going home. And her and Bradley Cooper are playing some backgammon on the plane, and then she like psychoanalyzes him, which is kind of weird. And Bradley Cooper, he's phoning it in at as 2010 Bradley Cooper. He's playing 2010 Bradley Cooper, and he's excelling at it. But
I was like, what does that mean?
As an actor, he's phoning it in. It's like, well, they're all phoning it in. But
what does that mean? What are you saying? Phoning it in?
Yeah, phoning it, like putting in no effort.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
No, you never heard that before?
No.
Oh, yeah, it's like a turn of phrase. Yeah, they're phoning it in. Like, if I watch a movie and I say, oh, that actor's phoning it in, that just means, like, they showed up, they said their lines, they left. And that's what I'm accusing Bradley Cooper of in this movie.
I mean, they all did it.
Probably everybody could have phoned it in. Ashton Kutcher and Jennifer Garner probably didn't phone it in, but everybody else probably did.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just like I look at how Bradley Cooper's acting in these scenes, and I'm like, that's 2010 Bradley Cooper right there. Like that's
he like barely has lines.
Exactly. But like he's playing like his character like from The Hangover, like his. The way that he's speaking, he's not actually playing that character, but the way that he speaks, I'm like, oh yeah, that's just Bradley Cooper talking. And I like Bradley Cooper. He's not a bad actor, but
I'm like, isn't he like that in all his movies?
All right, regardless, it doesn't matter. He's not. He's playing him. There's no nuance to his character, Okay. That's what I'm really trying to get at here. So they they bond, I guess.
They bond, I guess.
And they're playing Lance, and he realizes that like she needs to get somewhere. She needs to get somewhere like now, and she's
only in town for one night.
Yeah, for one night.
And she wants to get home.
Yes, she wants to get home. It's like a 13-hour flight. She's been gone for 11 months, and then she's got to take another 13-hour flight out the next day. So he had a car like already set up like once he landed that was waiting for him, and he's like, "Here, take my car, get where you need to go." And she's like, "Oh, thank you." And then he does get where he needs to go, and where is that? McSteamy's house, because turns out McSteamy and Bradley Cooper's character are in a relationship. Plot twist. Didn't see that coming. Whoa. And then meanwhile, Julia Roberts, she gets to go home to her son, Edison. What? Because, it's been 11 months. So, and he's like, Mommy. And that's about it. So his mom was Julie Roberts, and his babysitter was Emma Roberts. He's very well taken care of by the Roberts family. And meanwhile, all the people that suck in this movie are alone. And that's the movie.
Wow, you did a really great job.
Thank you.
That was pretty good.
I mean, I just gave you the whole movie. It plays out in a different order.
Yeah.
But that's everything.
Yeah. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah. We're only
what are your thoughts?
We're at like less than 70 minutes right now. Oh yeah.
You're like, oh yeah,
make it a good time. My thoughts on this movie. I feel like
oh no.
It's not about anything specifically, you know? Like I enjoyed it, you know? It's fun to watch. And I suspect I'll be watching it again multiple times in life. Because it's a Hallmark holiday movie. So yeah, I don't know. It was like this was a trend back then of like making, you know, New Year's Eve and Valentine's Day, and it's about a whole bunch of people who are not connected, but some of them do, and they all have their own plot threads. But like as I just explained it, I'm like, you know, there's just not actually a lot going on. There's just a lot of stuff going. There's a lot of small stuff that is kind of like meaningless happening and just packed into like a 90-minute movie. So like, I don't know. I'm not particularly impressed with certain aspects of it because there's no like, the through line is just like, hey, people got each of their own experiences on Valentine's Day. And in that regard, it's like, all right, you know, not bad. I guess that's the point. It just also feels like very of the time. Like, yeah, people are going to enjoy that. Let's throw the Taylors in the commercials and call it a day. You know, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And Ashton Kutcher is going to, you know, propose, get broken up with, and then find the love of his life all in one day and teleport across LA. So,
yeah,
you know, that was weird. So like that, you know, it's not great, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have no qualms with the fact that we will probably rewatch this multiple times over the course of our lives. You know, if we don't end up watching it next year, we'll probably end up watching it the year after that or the year after that. So, and that's fine. You know, fun.
Yeah.
That's kind of all I have.
Got you. I don't know the last time I've watched this. So it's funny that you say, oh, we'll probably watch this multiple times. It's like, this is not a movie I like go to watch on Valentine's Day.
All right.
It's just something that I forget about it, and then something will spark my memory, and I'm like, oh yeah, that exists. And then I watch it and then forget about it for another few years. And yeah.
I was kind of surprised that I hadn't seen it.
Yeah. I had seen this movie when it came out in theaters. I think I mentioned last episode, like my friends and I used to always like meet up for Valentine's Day to go see a movie. It's a corny movie. We'd always like one of my friends pick it. It was either usually like a Nicholas Sparks movie, which I absolutely hate Nicholas Sparks movies. I feel like such a like Valentine's Day Grinch. Like I've just never cared for Valentine's Day.
I wore all red for this podcast episode, and you're wearing all black, and you seemed awfully proud about it. Not to call you out, honey.
No, not that I'm proud. I'm not proud about it, but it's just like I don't know. I hate that I can't get into the Valentine's Day spirit, like. Because I don't want to be that person where they're like, you're just bitter. Like, and it's like, I'm not bitter about the day.
I don't think that you're bitter.
Yeah.
No, it's just like any other day. Honestly, like, it puts a lot of stress on me.
But why? That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, that's why I don't get the holiday.
Well, no, but I'm like very relieved that you're like, it's whatever, you know? Like, I'm still going to do something nice for you.
But like, you don't even have to. I think that's why I'm like, I feel like a Grinch because I'm like, I don't want anyone to be like, I don't want you to be stressed about Valentine's Day because like, it's just another day. Like, there's no need to make it such a big deal. And I feel like social media especially has like really pushed that because everyone likes to showcase, look at what they did for Valentine's Day. I have all these things. Like, I have a room full of roses.
So like for me, the hierarchy of like days of the year where I need to do something special for you is like number 1 is your birthday. Number 2 would be like our anniversary. Number 3 would be Christmas. Number 4 would be Easter.
I know. I oddly really like Easter.
Because you love Easter. And then number 5 would be Valentine's Day. And then number 6 would be every other day in the year.
Yeah.
So Valentine's Day is just above every other day.
I would say Valentine's Day is below every other day.
So no, but it can't be, you know, because it's not just every other day. Like the every other day treats you a certain way. It's not like I'm supposed to be worse to you on Valentine's Day. Oh, no. I have to be better to you.
I guess what I'm saying
should
is
be
like,
good
it's
all
more,
the time.
Yeah.
I should just, you know, it's a reminder to do a little more for your partner.
I guess what I'm saying to me it's below every other day is because like it's more meaningful if you do something really nice on a random day than it is if you do something nice on Valentine's Day.
That's valid.
Yeah, because it's like if you do something on Valentine's Day, it's like, okay, he did this because he felt like he had to because it's Valentine's Day versus like,
or what if it was your birthday?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's my birthday. I like my birthday to be special.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like do something nice for my birthday. But Valentine's Day, I don't know. Valentine's Day just to me is just like, who cares?
Everybody has different expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, that wasn't even the point of why I was talking about. Yes, I am wearing all black. But it's not like a thing like I'm going to wear all black to rebel. Yeah. It's just like I have no pink or red clothes. Or like the one red top I have, I absolutely hate. So it's just lingering in the closet. Anyway, me and my friends used to go see Valentine's Day movies. This is one of the movies we chose. And yeah, I remember watching it and being like, that was so dumb. But like, I don't know. It was fun, you know? Like it's something that you don't have to pay attention to. Like, I mean, it's not something you have to like think too hard about. You just watch it for the like the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the surface level of it. Yeah. Like, you know, you're not going to get too deep.
Surface levelness.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. I enjoyed it. Yeah. I was thinking about, because I feel like I watch New Year's Eve or whatever that movie's called more than I do Valentine's Day.
Well, now that I've seen this, I'm very curious to watch New Year's Eve.
Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like New Year's Eve is not as, like, fun as Valentine's Day is.
Interesting.
Yeah. And New Year's Eve, I think the cast is not as great.
But it's got John Bon Jovi.
It definitely has like a very like high profile cast. But I don't know. It's kind of boring.
Isn't like Sarah Jessica Parker in that movie?
It's just kind of boring. Halle Berry's in that movie. Like
Halle Berry?
I know, but it's kind of boring. It's just
Isn't
boring. Zac Efron's in it. Michelle Pfeiffer.
Abigail Breslin.
Like,
what the heck?
What's that woman who was
That's
in
a good
Freedom
cast.
Writers? I always forget her name. I don't remember. Didn't she do that boxing movie that was like real?
Oh, Hilary Swank.
There we go. Yeah. She's in that movie. Joe's in it.
He's back?
He's in New Year's.
Does he reprise his role?
No. Okay. He plays something different. But yeah, I don't know. Valentine's, like rewatching Valentine's Day because I haven't seen it in a really long time. I was like, oh, this is so much more lighthearted than I feel like New Year's Eve was. And I was like, I enjoyed this. But yeah, so I have some. Go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What did you do for Valentine's Day in 2010 when this movie came out? Was it to go see this movie? Or?
I probably went to see this movie with my friends. Yeah.
Okay.
There's been a few movies that I've seen on Valentine's. I saw 50 Shades of Grey Valentine's Day with friends. Like, I don't know. I usually go. I feel like just go see a movie with friends. I don't ever really do nothing or just like hang out. But,
well, in 2010 on Valentine's Day, I showed up to a girl's house with flowers. And I felt that was relevant to bring up because that was the same year that this movie came out. I was like, oh, because that's the one time in my life that I showed up to a girl's house that I liked.
Yeah.
And brought her flowers for Valentine's Day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so funny. That's cute.
We did end up in a relationship soon after that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I love that.
It didn't last very long. It was high school.
Very cute.
Thought that was a little fun fact.
So I have a question for you before I get into my facts about the movie.
Okay.
What is your worst Valentine's Day?
Oh, wow. You should have warned me that you're gonna ask this. I have to
I was originally gonna ask what your best Valentine's Day was, but I was like, no, I want to hear your worst.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly. We love each other. We were very in love.
Are you talking about me and you? Or are you talking
No.
about...
No. I'm just saying you and me, we love each other. So
yeah.
We're stable. We're good. You accept me and all my flaws. I will say, I don't know if I've had any particularly bad Valentine's days.
Yeah.
I will say there have been times in my life where a relationship was ended just before Valentine's Day. Primarily because I was the one to end it. So I have caused maybe a few worst Valentine's days in my day.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Wait. Take it all back.
You're like, wait a second.
I got it. 2016. 2016, I was very heartbroken going into that year.
Yeah.
And so I threw an anti-Valentine's Day party like Jessica Biel's character.
You were Jessica Biel!
Yeah. I threw an anti-Valentine's Day party and my house got a noise complaint ticket because there was a noise ordinance at midnight in Santa Barbara. And we got a noise ticket the night of the anti-Valentine's Day party. So much happened at the anti-Valentine's Day party, and that was a direct result of all of the it was me channeling all that heartbreak into something. I made a Facebook event. I invited a ton of people, every person I knew from school, and we just had a blast. And everybody supported me in that this was Parker's throwing an anti-Valentine's Day party because he's bitter and heartbroken.
I'm so dead. You were Jessica Biel.
Yeah.
Aw, poor
I wore
baby.
a pink shirt and everything.
Poor thing.
Which was kind of defeats the point. Probably should have worn black, but whatever,
I don't know.
Yeah. That was my I hate this year. Yeah.
Oh.
No,
It was a great party
good.
though.
Yeah, it was we got a noise complaint. But yeah, no. I mean, I still sometimes talk about we all remember the anti-Valentine's Day party.
That's so funny. Oh my goodness. Got you. All right. Well, I guess if I say my worst for Valentine's Day, I haven't had a worst because again, I don't care about Valentine's Day, but I guess the worst Valentine's Day plan that I've had, or one that was just kind of what is this? What am I doing? A guy took me to his frat house.
Okay. Already a good start.
Yeah. And made me breakfast, which granted, I love breakfast. I love someone to cook me breakfast, So that was great. But it was just being at the frat house and his frat brothers were around and just oh, hey,
that does
hi guys.
Not scream romance
to
me.
Hey, what's up? What are y'all doing? And I was just what are we doing?
Yeah,
why are we here? So I guess that could be considered my worst Valentine's Day.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Well, hopefully for both of us, those continue to be our worst Valentine's days.
Yeah.
And that
I'm I have a pretty
all
low
the best
bar.
years are yet to come.
I have a low bar, so you can't do the worst Valentine's Day would be being cheated on Valentine's Day.
100%.
Yeah, so
totally.
can't be too bad. But anyway, fun facts. So as I mentioned earlier, Gary Marshall directed this film, which he was also the director of movies like Pretty Woman, the Princess Diaries series, which makes a ton of sense when you think about the cast. So a lot of the cast was in Pretty Woman. And a lot of the cast was also in Princess Diaries. So that makes a ton of sense.
Hector Elizondo
was
in
both.
all of it.
I know. He's just always around. And so I'll come back to the importance of that in just a second. But before I get into that, this movie features one of the largest ensemble casts in Hollywood history.
Okay.
It makes sense. A lot of people in it.
When I mentioned George Lopez twice, and all he did was talk to Ashton, Jessica Alba.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure this fact, it was probably
Queen Latifah.
Yeah, this fact is probably pre Avengers.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. But just like a standalone film, there's a lot of people in it.
Just like sprinkle people. You could have told me Chris Evans had a cameo in this movie.
Honestly, yeah, there were like people who were like side characters that don't even say lines. It's like, oh, it's that guy who's in that movie.
Yeah.
So this was actually the second biggest opening for a romantic comedy, just behind the Sex and the City 2008 movie.
Wow.
Opening weekend, it brought in $57 million. The movie
definitely made its budget back.
Yes. The movie gross worldwide was $216 million.
They did it. They nailed it. I mean, that's
a lot.
Great.
For this not great movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess everyone was like, what's this about? So going back to Pretty Woman specifically, before I get into Pretty Woman. So Julia Roberts, I'm not, this is not an actual fact. This is just my guess. I'm guessing she's the highest paid person for the movie. So she was given, they were going to pay her $12,000 per word that she said. She said 251 words, resulting in a $3 million paycheck.
What?
I know. And in her contract, was going to receive 3% of the film's gross.
Oh, so that's so much money.
Yeah. So she ended up with like $10 million.
10 million, yeah.
From this movie.
That's wow.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Good for you, Julia.
Yeah. So going back to Pretty Woman, there are a ton of references to Pretty Woman in this movie. So in the scene where Julia takes Bradley Cooper's car to go home, the driver of the car drives past Rodeo Drive and it says, "Oh, have you ever shopped there?" And she says, "I did once. Big mistake. Big, huge." Just like she does in Pretty Woman. Cute. I love Pretty Woman, so it makes me so excited.
Pretty Woman is great. I'm just like,
yeah.
Yes, say huge. That's an extra $12,000 in the bank. So
Literally. I already said that many of the actors were in the movie Pretty Woman, and then also Topher and Anne Hathaway, where they have dinner is the Beverly Wilshire, which is where Pretty Woman was filmed, where her and Richard Gere stayed. So those are some of the references. I think there might have been more. I just didn't write them down.
Okay.
So in the movie, there was a song that played.
Oh, yeah.
That we were cracking up laughing because it was like, "Shawty, quit your job."
Well, it was like Anne Hathaway. I think the previous scene was like her at work and
no, Jessica Biel.
Oh, it was like Jessica Biel at work and she's all stressed about Valentine's Day, and then it cuts to the next scene and it's like, "Shawty, quit your job."
And it felt so out of place and just weird. Turns out that's a Jamie Foxx song.
That's awesome.
Yes, it's Jamie Foxx's song. They were going to put it on the soundtrack for the movie, but didn't because it's pretty explicit. Okay. And has a lot of profanity. So, but I just thought it was so funny, like reading, because we both were dying laughing over that song.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, you could see the subtitles. It said, like, "Shawty, quit your job." Yeah,
that's so funny. And so the last fun fact is that majority of the cast has starred in a Marvel or DC movie.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. So Anne Hathaway was Catwoman at one point.
Oh, yeah.
Topher Grace was in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You have Jamie Foxx, who was also in Spider-Man.
That's true.
You had who else?
That's it.
No,
Bradley
no, no. There's
Cooper.
more. There's
Bradley
more.
Cooper's
Bradley Cooper's
Rocket Raccoon. Yeah.
There's more. There's more. I'm missing them. Hold on. Let me find the IMDb. I have it pulled up on IMDb.
You're gonna tell me like Edison is Tom Holland or something?
No. Hold on. I'm finding it.
I don't know. McDreamy.
Let me think. Okay, here we
Bradley
go.
Cooper. Oh, we already said that.
Okay, Jamie Foxx as Electro, Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, Jessica Alba as Storm in Fantastic Four.
Oh, forgot
Jessica
about that.
Biel was Abigail Whistler in Blade Trinity. Bradley Cooper.
Okay.
Bradley Cooper as Rocket. Eric Dane as Multiple Man in X-Men. Who's Eric Dane? Last.
I know exactly which character that's referencing. I don't know which character that guy played in this movie.
Jennifer Garner was Elektra in Daredevil and
That's
Elektra.
True.
Topher Grace in as Venom.
Yep.
So
I
that's majority of the
played Venom.
cast.
You know, I think you could watch any movie and say, "Hey, the majority of these people have been in a comic book movie." You know?
I don't know.
Like I remember I watched like Lincoln, the Abraham Lincoln movie done by Steven Spielberg, and I remember being like, "Oh, like that guy's in the Hulk, and like that guy's in like Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in like The Dark Knight Rises, and like that person plays that character," and I'm like, these are all comic book actors.
I mean, I guess there's so many actors and so many comic
I know.
books.
At this point, it's like,
anybody.
yeah, at this point, yeah, everybody's a comic book actor.
Yeah.
They've all done it at some point, except for like Leonardo DiCaprio because he doesn't want to.
Yeah, I guess. I thought it was a fun fact.
Yeah, that's fair. Fine, yeah.
But yeah, that's all that I have. Anything
Nice.
else?
No.
All right. Well, let's get to
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
I have to burp.
We're doing our own thing on Valentine's Day in a few days.
Yep. I have a Galentine's party tonight.
Oh, yeah. I forgot you're going to go to that. Yep. So let's wrap this up.
I'll get there when I get there.
All right. Oh, okay. Hopefully they don't listen to this podcast.
I mean, no, it's like I don't like to be the first to show up to a place,
for
you
sure,
know?
for sure. All right. So what are we doing for next week?
Yes. So because it is also Black History Month, we are going to assign movies with predominantly Black casts. I don't know. I'm doing it for the next two ones. I don't know if you're doing the same, but
yeah, no, just for the next two.
perfect. So that's what we're gonna do. Do
Yeah.
you want to assign first, or do you want me to assign first?
Yeah. So the movie that I am assigning you is called Black Dynamite.
I literally saw that pop up when I was looking up like all the movies that I wanted to write down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Haven't
that
seen
one's it's been on my list since the inception of this podcast when I like first wrote a list of movies I wanted you to watch. So
You're like, I didn't just come up with it last minute.
OMG.
No, I'm kidding.
Leave me alone. Yeah, Black Dynamite.
I remember you mentioning it a while ago.
Very entertaining,
Yeah.
fun movie. I will not say anything more until you watch it.
Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to do another kind of like lighthearted rom-com, just to like bridge as we like, transfer over to new things. So I wanted to give you Think Like a Man,
Okay, yeah.
which is another pretty like star-studded cast.
That I think also came out in 2010.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought about it because me and my friend were literally talking about it like when I went to visit DC. And we were talking about the movie and like this really funny part that I'll talk about later. But yeah, I was like, oh, I really like that movie. Let me assign that. This is really hard because I have so many movies I like want to assign you. And it's like I want to give it to you all at once and I just can't. So I'm going to have to like sprinkle them throughout the year. But
Okay.
it was really hard to make these because I have my choice for next time too. So
Yeah.
it was hard to make them.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many great movies.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we got going on.
All right. That'll be very fun.
Yep. So Black Dynamite and Think Like a Man.
Yeah. Well, I think it'll be let's see. Yeah, it'll be Think Like a Man and Black Dynamite. That's the order in which we will talk about them.
Potato, potato.
I try to be specific about that at the end of every episode. I try to say them in the order that they will actually be in for the next episode's title.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so you know what to expect. Like, oh, it's going to be that and then that next week. Not that anybody's paying attention. It's part of the it's part of my artistic expression. It's part of my artistic vision for the podcast.
Oh my gosh. That's like the user experience in you.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Being
Like,
so specific.
Next week, Think Like a Man and Black Dynamite. See? And now they're going to know, oh yeah, well, that is the next episode, isn't it?
Oh my gosh.
All right.
So silly.
Well,
yes.
We'll see you then.
I should probably get going.
Have a good week. If you are listening to this pre-Valentine's Day, have a good Valentine's Day.
Yes.
If you are listening after, hope you had a good Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
And if you had a bad Valentine's Day, it's okay. There's always next year. And it's just a day.
It's just a day.
It is just a day.
Exactly.
All right. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.